this video is gonna be real nice and short, but it might be just a little maybe think because one day I forgot to make a video and it's actually something that's kind of important. It's not a lot, but like it's kind of important for you assistant. So I'm gonna go over. This is the notes. It's not a lot, and then I go into what I was supposed to make this video about. So this is actually about the second industrial revolution. I know some people are like me. I haven't before, but some people have talked about the first industrial revolution before, like previous classes. Um, I did not. So we are learning about the second industrial revolution. Um, in here, um, the first industrial revolution. Well, it was okay. That's what helped led us into the economy and all of that. And it also did not start in the U.S. But before I give away all the notes, I'm gonna just start laying out the stuff. Um, so let's start. How is an industrialized country different from a non-industrialized country? They are different because it is not fully developed, and we have things such as running water, electricity. Move, ma'am. Move. Not in this chair. Water, electricity, indoor bathrooms, etc. Um, so like America. You want me to have you? Oh my gosh, then run. So I really hope everybody would know this, but America is an industrialized country. Places like Africa, they have certain spots, like over 95% of Africa is not industrialized. Um, they do not have running water. They have to go, you see the women with the basin on their head. That's them carrying water to their house. They use it for bathing, sewage, stuff like that. So they are not industrialized. Some parts of Africa does not have electricity. They are an example of an unindustrialized country. Um, what is industrialization and what is it coming from? Industrialization is the process by which an economy is transformed from primarily agricultural to one based on the manufacturing of goods. So America, they highly work on robots. Well, not robots, but you could say machines. They have sewing machines. You have big old machines that make the big old quilts. They make shirts. They don't have to have people to hand stitch these shirts anymore. So stuff like that. Individual manual labor is often replaced by mechanized mass production, and craftsmen are replaced by assembly lines. So the cost cuts down. They don't have to spend as much money on people, manpower. It's machines, industrialized. They're making everything more economical so that it doesn't spend as much money. Although sometimes some of those, a little off to note, sometimes some of those ways aren't really healthy for the world itself. Like how we have the melting polar caps and all of that. So different things. It was good, but they also have pros and cons to the industrialized revolution. Um, their motto was from the farms to the factories. So they stopped farming. Now they have big old tractors and stuff that picks up the plants, cut the plants, put the seeds down, stuff like that. Um, so in my opinion, I would say that at least 73% of the world is industrialized, which means about 28%. Oh, that was the wrong number. So I would say like 17% of the world is not. Was that 17? Let's see. 7, 3, 10, 8. So 27% of the world is not industrialized. Um, some of that is Africa, parts of China, it's probably parts of Asia. Even though we are industrialized, I assure you it is parts of America that are not industrialized, You can say that's like your country. Like when you're driving through the country, there's not any electricity lines and stuff like that. I guess you can say stuff like that, but that's just my opinion. Why did the industrialization revolution begin and with who? The first industrial revolution began in Belgium, Germany, um, Germany, UK, USA, and France. It began actually in Germany, in Belgium, but those people they followed, they were part of the first industrial revolution. But Belgium started it. It started by the 1760 until about 1840. So that's when the first industrial revolution ended completely. What was the first start of industrial revolution and what was the name of the invention? So 1760, that was the start of the industrial revolution. Remember 1760? 1760 was the start of the industrial revolution. Um, the first, and actually what led into that was the steam engine with you have the part for the coal. Um, and a little fact, even though these stuff are old and we don't use these anymore, I assure you, because of how much they had, like, because we're so industrialized, we don't have to do as much work. So for the steam engine, they did a lot of work to make that. So people nowadays probably would not be able to make an authentic steam engine. So yes, like, the industrial revolution helps us not to be as independent. We're more dependent on cars and factories and stuff like that. But we're gonna move on. What are some parts of the first industrial revolution? We have textile mills powered by the steam engine, mass production of goods, which their first mass production was closed, steam locomotive, steamboats. Yeah. So it was we had the steam engines and the steamboats, which were by coal, because the coal was what powered the steam engine. So as we go into this, you will see that the second industrial revolution was not powered by coal. They started, um, telecommunication and stuff like that. We're gonna go into that now. What happened by 1840? The U.S. had mass production of goods, mostly in the North, because I don't know if everybody remember this when we talked about slavery, but the North is the people that did not approve of slaves. They did not need slaves anyway because they had their factories and stuff. The South are the people, Florida and Georgia, North Carolina, places like that. They needed slaves because they were still unindustrialized. But so that's why by 1840 the U.S. had mass production of goods and extensive transportation routes, waterways, and railroads. That's when all of that started to come in for the second industrial revolution. So mass production of goods, they were there for the first revolution, but when we started to get our waterways with the boats and all that, and the railroads for steam powered trains and boats, that's when the second revolution began. Where did the second industrial revolution occur and what came with it? The second industrial revolution began in the U.S. It started in the U.S. The second industrial revolution began in the U.S. in 1870. So the first industrial revolution ended by 1840. 30 years later, we started a second revolution. Um, it started new innovations and inventions. The internal combustion engine replaced the steam engine. A new process for mass production, steel is invented, and telecommunications. So I'm gonna just talk about that for a few seconds. We have the internal combustion engine that replaced steam, like I said, with the coal and all that. Um, the mass production of steel was invented that actually helped with a lot more stuff that we had. And then we have telecommunications, that's like how you call. They had different ways. I don't think we're going to talk about it right here. But telecommunications were actually invented when, um, I can't remember the man's name, but his wife died, and he wanted to invent a way for you to be able to. He was away working, and his wife died at home. So he wanted to invent a new way to communicate long distance, so that you won't have to be in front of somebody to talk to them. So with his wife dying, he went into mourning. He wasn't even an inventor. He became an inventor by making that telecommunication so that other people won't have to go through the tragedy that he went through, not knowing that his wife had died. Um, why did the second industrial revolution happen in the United States? Um, Capitalism, economic system characterized by competition and a free market, wherein private individuals, not the government, are free to buy and sell and to open up their own business as they see fit. So we had competition with capitalism and the free market, wherein private individuals, not the government, are free to buy and sell and open up their own businesses as they see fit. The patent system is what made people want to invent, because it gave them like it's like saying, oh, you just got the iPhone XR or something like that. So like it made people feel high. It helped people get famous. It did different things. But the patent system constitutionally, if you invent something new, you can file a patent, which means you are the only one who is allowed to sell that invention and capitalize on it for a limited time. So they were allowed to earn money off of this earning. So it helped them to earn more money during the second industrial revolution. So everybody wanted to make an invention. Some inventions, as you know, did not actually go through, but some of them did. And as they got those patented, they earned more money and stuff. The abundance of natural resources was also why the United States were first to do the second revolution, because they had so much natural resources. They can make different stuff that helps out with the second industrial revolution. Who produces most of the world's coal according to the pie chart? So you can see the pie chart, but it was USA. Pie chart. The USA had the most coal. So even though they had even though they had combustion engines, they still wanted to do steam because that helped them gain more money from other people. Because steam. So so let's see. Don't make my phone. Okay. Oh, Jesus. Okay. Go sit down somewhere. Go sit down. You're fired. Goodbye. Dismissed. Anywho, let's move on. So we have now we're gonna talk about, I just mentioned the free market with the Industrial Revolution. So um yeah. Okay, so the Gilded Age was from 1870 to 1894. I think we just said that is when the second industrial revolution started. So, what is the economic foundations of the U.S.? That is what we're gonna mainly be like focusing on as I'm giving out the notes. The Lessery theory of economics. I'm so sorry, I probably messed that up. Like, so sorry. But it meant let be, leave it alone. The government should not intervene. The government should not intervene in the economy. So you could have a business, you could have a shop, you could have a restaurant, you could have anything. But if you needed help, the government did not have to intervene because of Lessery theory economics. So that let everybody do what they wanted to do on their own. They were all on their own, no help from the government at all. The pros were that you worked on your own, so that was the pros, as I said already. And then the cons were no help if you needed it. So let's say your government was going, your government. Let's say your restaurant was going down, and you just needed 20 measly dollars to help out. You applied to the government, asked them, but they did not have to approve it. They couldn't even help you, even if they wanted to, because of that fair economics. Um, they called it the free market because you are free to buy, own, use, and sell private property. You are free to be an entrepreneur, and you are free to compete. So if this person was earning, let's say you both had hair salons, this person had better clientele, they earn more money. That's competition. And also, like I said, once your business starts to drown, the government cannot help you. So you would have to just close down. Capitalism. Private individuals driven by the profit motive own the means of production, which is business. So they were constantly in competition with each other. Capitalism entails constant competition. Business constantly compete with each other for your money. So, like I said, with the hair salon, they had more clientele. Some of them was leaving over here. Oh, we don't like how she does hair. She does more hair. She knows how to do more styles. They go over there. You lose money. You also lose your shop, if you know. Um, Along with competition, let's say everybody went over to this lady and she drops all her prices to $5. Hairstyles $5. That's ridiculous. But she drops her hairstyles for $5. That's a way she can get back everybody. Even though she might not do hair good, hey, it's cheap. Let's go over there. So there was a lot of competition back during then, and also along with the competition, there was no help from the government at all. And it's not like they didn't want to help; they just could not. So sorry. Okay. So nature always wins. Darwin theorized that nature operates on the principle of natural selection of the fittest. So I just literally got done talking about natural selection in AP psychology with you guys. The strong will survive and the weak will be eliminated. So during the Gilded Age, the ideological framework of the social Darwinism buttress, butchers, butcher, I don't know what I put there, and supports free market, Lazarine theory capitalism. So the Gilded Age was supported by the Darwin theory of survival of the fittest, natural selection, strong will survive and the weak will be eliminated. Ideology, 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 let's just say that, is like a guiding framework or a series of ideals. The weak will perish again. Um, they were based on Darwin theory. The weak will perish, the strong will survive. Which, like I said in the other video, is not a good thing because that's like saying, "Oh, all poor must die, rich can live." So the guild actually means fake gold, fugazi. So, like I said, the Gilded Age, it was the fake age. Like stuff wasn't real, stuff wasn't really happening. Like not like stuff wasn't really happening, but then like they weren't really um, there was a lot of competition. The government wasn't really helping, so stuff like that. In the Gilded Age, U.S. businesses became rich, but hide the dark side. So we have some people who like their businesses were totally legit, and they might be people to lose because the competition are not really doing everything up to code. Even though some of their stuff are up to standards, not all of it will be the straight, um, honest way. Abusive workers will lead to the birth of labor unions. So, yeah, we're gonna get on with that later. Waves of new immigrants flocked to the U.S., and many faced severe discrimination and hardship. A new. Um,
The day before my birthday, touring is opening in River City Marketplace.
okay. A new entrepreneurs create monopolies at travels by manipulating the rules of capitalism and breaking the game. So that's what I told you. They started cheating the system, doing different things and all that. Instead of, hey, I'm gonna go over here and instead of, hey, I'm gonna go over here and lower my prices, I'm gonna go over here and bribe these people to come over here. Stuff like that. It might not have been such as those kind of losing money, but you know. Big businesses begins manipulating the government so that the government yeah, they began manipulating the government. How do we form a monopoly or trust natural so this is just a Google thing. This wasn't these two definitions I'm about to give you. Do not rely on them too heavy because they're just like Google, and I do not trust Google like that. I'd rather look in the book. But natural monopoly varies to entry or something other than legal prohibition. Legal monopoly laws stop competition. So those were the two that I got from Google. Everything else I'm about to say here on out is actually stated from the book. Monopoly, complete control over the production of a good or service. Um, common, commonly buys out.
50 customers getting a gift card of $100.
We going there. We going there. Mama, we going. You better save up some money because we going there. So, just letting you know.
November 9th, they open at 10 in the morning. The first 50 customers get a $100 gift card.
I will most definitely be there. I don't care. I don't care. Anyway. Okay, horizontal integration, which is a part of the monopoly. When one owner controls all companies and facilities at one stage of production, a good or commodity. So that's when they started eliminating competition. So when one owner controls all companies and facilities at one stage of production, a good or commodity. So that's like that person, that hair salon, buying out all the hair salons. So they don't have any more competition. They are their own competition now. Vertical integration gave complete control over all stages and production and no, my bad. Vertical yeah, I was right. That's when you buy out. And then vertical integration gave complete control over all stages of production and distribution. So that means you have all materials for your business. You start buying, like, okay, so let's say you have a hair salon. You start buying a flat iron company, start buying eco company, stuff like that. So instead of just buying out your competition, now you're going so that you don't have to pay different things to have your hair salon. So I think that is about it. This is actually a short as I wanted to go. I think it's actually pretty good. But yeah, so the Industrial Revolution, it actually led to a few good things, but then it also led to a few negative things. So I think the next video, we don't have any chemistry right now, but the next video will be on the next video will hopefully be on ouch geometry, not geometry. So sorry, I don't need geometry. Algebra 2. I love algebra 2. It's fairly easy as for right now, but that is what it will be about.